Thank you very much, and thank you all for showing up here after lunch. Any speaker will tell you this is the worst possible slot. So if you snooze, it's okay. I'll let you decide later what you lose by doing so. Let me say also at the outset that I am humbled to be asked to speak on the topic of international trade in the presence of Ambassador Bill Brock, who, among other things, is the former United States Trade Representative, and quite a good one, I might add. He may have a word or two to add of his own, and I'll look forward to hearing him when he does. I noticed this morning that many of you seem to be students, and so I might tailor my remarks accordingly. In one of my recurring pastimes, I am a professor of international law at Vanderbilt, my alma mater, and so I tend to speak in different ways depending on which particular hat I happen to be wearing at any one time. And as time goes on, I seem less and less, at least to myself, a politician, and more an interested observer of the world as it continues to turn. As I was saying to one of the young folks in the audience, I have a Kindle and read it on various airplanes on various continents as I travel. And I wanted, on our topic today, to begin by quoting from a passage of one of the books I recently read on my Kindle. The topic is the significance of soft power in international trade. The book I have in mind is a book by one of my favorite authors, a woman from Britain named Hilary Mantel. If you have not read Hilary Mantel, you might want to consider doing so. I recommend her book, A Place of Greater Safety, which is about the French Revolution, but that's not the book I have in mind right now. I have in mind now to read a passage from her book, Wolf Hall, which won the Man Booker Prize in the United Kingdom last year. This book is about Thomas Cromwell, who was one of the ministers to Henry VIII during the Tudor period in England. And there's a passage in the book where Cromwell is about to leave to go to France to negotiate a treaty on behalf of his king. The hope is that the King of France will intercede with the Pope in Rome to encourage the Pope to permit Henry VIII to divorce his barren wife, Catherine, and marry the fabled Anne Boleyn. We all know how that turned out. Cromwell's aide is a young man named Rafe, and in this passage, Rafe is helping Cromwell pack for his trip. I typed this up on Microsoft Word this morning, so I would get it right word for word. Rafe, helping him pack his papers, said, "I understand that King Francis will speak to Rome for the king's cause, but I'm not sure what he gets out of the treaty." Cromwell replies, "Wolsey," Cardinal Wolsey, his mentor, "always said that the making of a treaty is the treaty. It doesn't matter what the terms are, just that there are terms. It's the goodwill that matters. When that runs out, the treaty is broken, whatever the terms say. It is the processions that matter, the exchange of gifts, the royal games of bowls, the tilts, jousts, and masks. These are not preliminaries to the process. These are the process itself." Well now, this is, of course, hyperbole. The terms of a treaty do matter. I'm a former trade negotiator for this country, as is Senator Brock, and we know that the terms matter. And if as trade negotiators we didn't think they mattered, we wouldn't be trade negotiators for very long. The terms matter. I spent a decade as a judge in Geneva trying to figure out what a lot of the terms in the treaties meant, but that's another story. Even so, there can be truth in hyperbole. And the truth in what Cromwell says in Mantell's fictional account is in the assertion that it is the goodwill that matters in making and in sustaining a treaty. The strength of a treaty is in the goodwill that transmutes over time into the habit of trust. The goodwill is what we call in international law good faith, reflected, if you're taking notes, in Article 26 of the Vienna Convention on the law of treaties. And this good faith is the necessary foundation of mutual trust in upholding treaty obligations. Trust alone is not enough. On this, I have always agreed with Ronald Reagan, who cautioned us always, in treaty making, to trust but verify. But verification itself cannot function. It cannot succeed without trust. This is true in trade. It's true in any treaty we may hope to conclude with anyone in the world. I'm very active right now in trying to address the clause of climate change on a global basis. I've just finished a report for the World Economic Forum on the nexus between trade and climate change. I was in Copenhagen. I was speaking in Cancun. Every chance I get, I raise my hand when all of these folks are talking about concluding some comprehensive global treaty on climate change and ask, where is the verification? Where are the provisions that would enable us to ensure that all countries are keeping the obligations they make? If we went to the United Nations and knocked on the door and asked them to show us the room where they keep all the treaties that have been filed with the UN under the terms of the UN Charter, they would take us into a room that would include, at last count, more than 40,000 international treaties. Now, I'm a professor of law, and I'm bound to tell you that I believe international treaties should be upheld, whether they have compliance provisions or not. But I've also been out in the real world, and in the real world, treaties are far more likely to be upheld if they have provisions that ensure compliance. Only a few do.